So turtles are how old?
Turtles, they're reptiles, so...
In other words, Sean, your argument is debunked by turtles all the way down.
How old is the Cretaceous rock?
Cretaceous is, what, 70 million years? I forget. I'm a bit fuzzy on the... Hang on, it'll come to me. Cretaceous. Yeah, I think Cretaceous is 70 million years ago.
Well, I think, Thunder, you've got a chart on your wall that will tell you. Whilst you're looking at that, back to proportional, please.
I posted the link. But, I mean, Sean, it's a wonderful, and I'm posting the link for you too, but I mean, it's a perfect example of, if you don't know anything about what you're talking about, yeah, it makes sense. It does look like a human hand. However, if you actually know anatomy and you know the field, it's amazingly clear that it's not.
Back to proportional, 70 million years ago.
Thanks, Thunder.
They haven't changed.
Back to proportional, please.
Anyways.
Make one more comment, then hop off here. Sean,
yes.
I going to college and everything, studying theology, if that's what you want to do, that's great. But if you really do care, in my honest opinion, about changing Thunderfoot's mind, about changing Don's, changing everyone's mind, you're in the wrong area. If evolution is what they cling to, and for you, as you say, that those two are mutually exclusive, then I would wager that if you were to actually change your major and go into a field to try to disprove evolution, go into biology, go into genealogy, go into paleontology, any of these areas, then at the same time, either one of two things are going to happen. Either you are going to put chinks in the armor of evolution, or you're going to be convinced how we feel on it. So if the idea for you truly is to convert as many people as possible, and you believe that's what you should do, abandon the idea of theology, because, not being mean, I'm just saying you're not convincing many people with this. Go into the areas, put the chinks into evolution that you want to be there, and then either you're going to convince us or you're going to change your mind. Of course, you could keep going along and everything, but I'm going to stop with that and just turn it over back to you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much for that comment.
All right, but to a degree, you've already decreed that nothing can actually sway your mind, in that if you were to accept that the universe is completely natural, you still smuggle in your supernatural explanation in that, well, God must have created those laws.
Well, Thunderfoot, the universe, by definition, can't be all natural, because either the universe has a cause from something outside the natural world, or the universe is itself eternal and thus violates the laws of cause and effect, which would make the universe
what makes you think that the laws of cause and effect actually would have... You know certain things about the origin of the universe. It's very small. That's a sort of quantum, very dense. That means you're into general relativity, and it was very fast. That means you're into relativity. What makes you think that your hand-waving cause and effect arguments that are applicable only over certain length scales to energy scales and time scales are going to have any predictive utility for for events like the origin of the universe?
So let me ask you this, Thunderfoot.
I mean, really, what makes you think that your hand-waving here and now actually has any predictive utility when we know that with things like relativity, that arbitrary, intuitive hand-waving usually gives the wrong answer with things like the quantum and the relativistic.
Okay. Beyond all the fancy words, aren't you just simply asking this, how do I know the universe had a cause?
The fancy words are called science.
No, the fancy words are called trying to snowball me. Are you just trying to ask, does the universe have a cause?
Yeah, I mean, how do you get that? How do you get that when you know certain things about the origin of the universe?
Because you have two options. Either the universe had a cause or it didn't. Those are your only two options, unless there's a third.
No, that's like saying there are only two options. It's a circle or a square. There are other geometrical arrangements.
That's not quite the same at all, actually. Either the universe had a cause or it didn't. What is the third? What is the third?
Let me give you an example, right? There are only two alternatives, right? If I'm driving along in a car and I throw a ball, there are only two options. The ball goes faster than the car, or it doesn't.
I still don't think this is... Okay, let me try another one, because I don't think
that lets accelerate that car to light speed, and you throw...
We're not playing the same game, Thunderfoot.
Does that ball go faster than the car?
We are not playing the same game, sir.
Yeah, I know. I'm playing a science game with these rules that we have discovered that actually are an accurate description of reality, and you're just translating in Middle Earth.
I'm applying rules of logic. I'm applying something called the rule of non-contradiction. You either have
how do you actually know that is accurate over all length scales, time scales, and energy scales?
Okay, if you believe there is a third alternative to either you have a cause or you don't, I am all ears. Go ahead.
Well, it's unknown, isn't it?
No, it's not. There is no other possibility.
Well, the law of non-contradiction, where did you get that from, other than inductive observations of the universe that you have access to?
By way of reason.
No, you get it from observations of the universe.
No, that's a priori. That's before sense experience.
Really? So you would actually... I mean, this is the thing. Without a universe, you could actually deduce that there were laws of logic?
I would argue, yes, absolutely.
The get it from.
Well, it's interesting to know that you are an empiricist, but I would argue that there are ways of logic that you can do just by simply, I mean, everything we do is done in the universe. So, I mean, it really depends on how you want to define what logic is. And now we're talking about epistemology. So rather than doing that, just simply this, what are we talking about here? I'm only trying to make the point that either the universe had a cause or it didn't, based on, I think I just lost Thunderfoot. Is he still here?
It appears that you did. I'm sure he'll be back soon. But do carry on with your point.
I'm just saying that he seems to want to create a third possibility where the universe could have a cause or not. And for what? Just to create a skeptical scenario. Well, if you want to always say that we're in a skeptical scenario, then how can he hold so dogmatically to the idea that Christianity is not true? I mean, it could possibly be true.
I don't want to speak for him, but I don't see that the necessity that the universe had a cause actually supports your case. And this is, I know he's back now, but let me just throw this in. Even if you were to prove that the universe had to have a cause, you still would have a huge problem to convince anyone, I think, that cause was in fact your God, your particular flavour God, the God that is represented in the good book that you actually adhere to, as opposed to a whole host of other things. So, in a way, to me, this argument is somewhat redundant. Even if you proved they had to have a cause, it doesn't help your case to prove your God.
To a degree, you're absolutely correct. And it's interesting that the prophets in the Bible were never called God provers. They were called witnesses. So my job actually isn't to prove God to you, because I believe even if I gave you an absolutely solid proof of God, if your heart is inclined to reject him, you'll still wiggle your way out of the
We're
proof.
back into the no-lose situation. If you don't accept what I say, it's because your heart is hardened. And if you do, then it shows that I'm right. It's the no-lose situation. It is just amazing that you've repeated this again and again throughout this conversation.